Okay, episode 2 of my Unity PD tutorial series of short videos. Today, this video, I'll just show how to make an ambient sound and also just to use the prefab ambient sound thing that I've got. So I'm going to go into it. Basically, it's a little bit more detail of what I did in the last episode, but this time using a bigger Unity session. So if you get my Unity PD Basics Unity project from my GitHub, download the whole thing and add it to Unity and open it up, and it looks like this. So I'm using the blank session scene that's in here, and in the blank scene all I've got is a player, and the player has got first person view, and it has, the player is just a prefab. So I've got a prefab here, there's my player. My player has a camera and an audio listener on it, and a script for moving around. So if I want to add sound to this scene, I can do the same thing that I did in the last tutorial, which is create a 3D object. Let's create a cube, and I'm just going to call it a sound. So my cube is currently on top of my player, so I'm just going to move it slightly off to the side. There we go. And then, as I did in the last one, if I want to make sound with it, I'm going to add a Libpd instance script. So type Libpd and it'll pop open with Libpd instance. I'm going to scroll all the way down past all the audio settings that I'm not going to use, go straight to Libpd instance, and then I'm just going to add a patch there. So I mean, I could add the same patch that I had before in the last episode, or I'll just put in yeah, let's add that same patch that I had before, right? Boop synth. So I had boop synth on my desktop. I'm just going to drag that into my streaming PD assets thing, and then go to my sound cube, go all the way down, click my boop synth, which is here, and drag it in to my patch. Okay, now when I press play, I'm going to be able to move around, and it'll be going boop, 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 boop. There we go. So first person view, there's my cube. I can only see it sort of weirdly because of the lighting, and it's a white cube, but there it is. I can go really far away from it, or really up close, and it's exactly the same sound. So that's actually quite useful in certain situations. Now, if you go into prefabs, I also have an ambient sound prefab. So if I drag this in and start playing, now I have two different PD patches running. I have the one from my prefab that I just clicked here and dragged in. This prefab, if you double click on it, has a Libpd instance built in, and it is running the patch ambient synth, right? So you can just click that, drag it in, and it will automatically have ambient synth in there. Now, a few things to note. If you want your PD patch to run in this way, to just be like, when you start the game up, it should start making some sounds, you need to make sure that it will work that way. So when I open boop synth in PD, it's making sound, right? If I turn that off and just have it not be starting up normally, like when I open the patch, if it's not making noise, it's not going to make noise when I open it in Unity. So I've set this to be initialized here. So I'm going to switch it back on, save the patch, close the patch, and now when I build this scene, it will play whatever PD patch. The other thing you can do, because it's like the location of this object makes no difference. Like you can place these things anywhere you want in the scene, and it will sound exactly the same because there's no spatialization, nothing. It's just playing the sound directly into your audio listener. So that can be really useful if you're making like a 3D or 2D forest scene and you need to have the sound of a forest just always playing in the background, or you could build music and you can have multiple audio PD patches all running at the same time generating your music, or a single PD patch generating all of the music. You can just use this technique. Just take any object, drop it in, add the PD patch to it by adding a libpd instance, and then build and go, and it'll work. If you like as well, you can make it invisible, right? You do not need these things, and you do that by just clicking on them and clicking the mesh renderer and taking it off. The other way you could do that is just create an empty object in here, right? And that can just be where you put your libpd instance. I quite like using a square and then just turning off the mesh renderer in case I ever want to turn it into something that is spatialized. So it's just a nice shortcut to be able to turn it back on easily. So I'm going to turn these both off, the mesh renderer is off, press play, and I'll be able to hear the sounds. And all I can see is my own shadow. Okay, that's ambient sound. So you can use my prefab, you can drag it in, and then if you want to change your PD patch, just drag in a new PD patch down here and put a completely different one in. Put one that plays different sounds, or put one that just is a totally different synthesizer or anything. You can just swap this PD patch out with anything you like.